Here's my honest opinion about the shared equity home buyer scheme that's going to be released in July 2023. Spoiler alert, it's not very good, but let's go into what this scheme is about. This scheme is where the New South Wales government will contribute up to 40% of the purchase price for new dwellings and 30% on established properties, which means they own 30 to 40% of your property. So to give you an example, in this new scheme, if you buy a new dwelling, you can buy up to 950k. This means you only need to get funding for up to 60% of it, which is 570, and the government will throw in 380k. Well, they actually owe 380k. And on top of this baller scheme, you also need to only contribute 2%, which is 19k, to own this property. So basically, you borrow 98% of this, which becomes 558. On top of this, you can also apply for the annual land tax, which means you don't need to pay stamp duty up front. Or if you're buying a property under 650k, you can get no stamp duty as a first home buyer. So metaphorically, if the government was McDonald's, this is like a Big Mac meal, but triple Big Mac meal with 10x upsize on fries and drinks. Now, this initiative has some gatekeeping criteria. For example, if you're a single parent with a dependent child or children, you qualify. You're a single person aged over 50, you qualify. And you're a first home buyer and you have to be a key worker. Basically, you have to be a nurse, midwife, paramedic, teacher, early child educators, and police officers. That's correct, guys. If you don't fall into any of these categories, unfortunately, you do not get sucked in. If you're single, you have to earn no more than 90k. If you're a couple, which basically your husband or your wife is a key worker, combined income must not be over 120k. Again, for metro areas like Sydney, 950k maximum, but for regional areas, it's about 600k. And guys, this is for first home buyers, so no investors. They don't allow that. If you ask me honestly, am I a fan of this scheme? No, I do not like this scheme at all. I think the cons outweigh the pro. For example, the cons, number one, the government owns part of your property. Also, with the low barrier entry, which is 2% deposit, for example, you want to buy something for 950k, you only need $19,000, and then no stamp duty, that's going to push up property prices even more. And I think this scheme is just reaping with desperation. Back then, it was the $15,000 first homeowner grant, then it became $10,000, and then, there was the established houses get no stamp duty. They keep on lowering the bar. And now, bloody hell, you're going to let the government own 30 to 40% of your property just to buy a property? What's next? The government's going to own like 50% of your property, and then what? People can't get in, and the government's going to own 80% of your property, or then 99% of your property. This is just making people more freaking lazy, seriously. People that's on 80 to 90k or even like 70k just need to stick to the bloody price range. There's a lot of properties in Western Sydney between 350 to 450k. Yes, it's a unit. My first property was a bloody unit. So should yours. You're too good for a shoebox and you want to live in the eastern suburbs and live in a double mansion? Haha, your dream will never come true. The only pros of this scheme is that it fulfills people's short-term impatience. The now mentality. I think this scheme is going to make property prices more unaffordable. Jump in the comments, let me know what you really think.